What is going down, Sourdough Squad? We had some news drop literally as we were about to hop on the stream. So we had to take care of some business, but you already know the vibes. We're going to talk about that news that just dropped right now. We're also going to talk about, with perfect timing, what the next 5 roster cuts are going to look like. We are going to predict those. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk 49ers Texans, 49ers Vikings. We're going to get into it all, but you already know. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Let's get ready for another fire show. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. I mean, we're official now with the intro. The intro that we got right now is straight heat. Drop some bread emojis in the chat if you're loving the new sourdough intro. It's pretty fire. Shout out my guy. I hope he's in here. We'll give him a shout out if he is. But absolutely bringing the heat. You love to see it. We are going to be talking about the roster move that just happened. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. Spoiler alert. We are going to talk about the 5 roster cuts that we think is going to go down before Tuesday's deadline. Austin Mack was on the cut list. He was on the cut list. But we had an honorable mention. So honorable mention is going to slide up. So we got it figured out, and I'll show you. I got it written down and everything. But we had a little roster move go down right before. And I see your super chat, Justin. I'll get to it in a second. But first of all, welcome in all the Sourdough Squad is active. Tell me you're ready for the season without telling me you're ready for the season. We're looking at the Sourdough Squad right now in mid-season form. We got people in the chat before we even get going. Well, I had to get this all manicured up, looking all real nice for y'all. We got people in here. You love to see it. Jason says, babe, wake up. Brad just dropped. You love to see it. Beer loading or beard loading. One of the two, either one. Yeast is loading as well, but I do want to shout out all the SDS per usual as we get in here. Justin is probably one of the happiest people on the face of the planet right now, and we'll talk about that as well. And why he's so happy. If you're rocking with the Sourdough Squad, you already know why he's so happy. But let's go. Shout out to all the squad in here. Good to see everyone. Want to make sure we say what's good. Make sure y'all are well represented. Loving the intro. You love to see it. What's good? Real talk, Niner talk. We got the whole gang in here. Look at it, man. We got the squad in here. Again, I just want to say what's good. We got to represent the Sourdough Squad. Squad's loving the intro. Woo! It is. I'm telling you, the intro, my guy killed the intro. I even consider myself a little bit of a video editor and things. He killed that, man. I can't replicate that. He schmirked it. You love to see it. God, the squad is active today. I can't even get to everyone. We see you in. I can't even get to everyone. You guys are awesome. Justin, I still see your super chat up there. We'll get to it, but let me get to the news first. Then I'll get to the super chat from Justin. Appreciate the super chat, by the way. You'll get multiple shout outs just for making you wait. Because normally we get the super chats up pretty quick. But I want to get to this news really quick, and then we'll get into it. And we'll get into what's going down with the 49ers. So as you guys found out today, the San Francisco 49ers signed Pro Bowl safety to Sean Gibson. So story time about this. We were sitting in Minnesota Eagan, Minnesota. We were watching the joint practices. I'm sitting with Steph Sanchez of 49er K podcast, and she's really smart. She brought out the binoculars, and there's 4 fields on the practice fields for the Vikings, and all the way down on the furthest one, there's Adam Peters, Kyle Shanahan, there's John Lynch, and there's one guy, and he's going through a workout, and he's going through defensive back drills, right? And Steph goes, "Hey, I think they're doing a workout over there." This is the second time that Steph has noticed a workout. She noticed the Willie Snead workout when we were in Santa Clara. Then she's able to she's got an eye for workouts apparently, because then she sees Tashawn Gibson. We didn't know who it was at the time, but Tashawn Gibson was working out in Minnesota. Obviously, they signed him, and as a result, in a corresponding move, the 49ers have waived Austin Mack. Now, spoiler alert, Austin Mack was going to be on my cut list. Austin Mack was going to be on the cut list. Didn't even make it to the prediction show before Austin Mack caught the scissors. I think what the questions that we ask about this particular signing is, one, are they confident in guys like Tarvarius Moore, Taylor Hawkins, George Odom? Or is this an indication that maybe Jimmy Ward is going to be on the shelf a little bit longer than we anticipated? So the last we really heard about Jimmy Ward is that he is dealing with a leg injury, and he will be definitely on the shelf for the entirety of the preseason. They never gave a really definitive kind of, timetable of return other than maybe week 1. He's going to try to be back by week 1. This signing to me could be an indication that Ward is going to be dealing with a little bit more of a longer term issue that might seep into the year, and they bring in reinforcements. They bring in Tashawn Gibson into the mix. Again, he's a former Pro Bowler. He's been in the league for a long time. He's gotten it done. So I like the signing. He's a former undrafted free agent. Obviously, or not obviously, if you didn't know, he was an undrafted free agent with the Cleveland Browns from 2012 to 2015. Guess who was with the Browns then? A young offensive coordinator by the name of Kyle Shanahan was in Cleveland at the same time as Tashawn Gibson. So there's some overlap there. Tashawn went on to play for the Jacksonville Jags in 2016 through 2018. Houston Texans in 2019, Chicago Bears as of last year. Hey, we played against Tashawn last year, if you guys don't recall. So, hey, week 1 against the Bears, Tashawn Gibson, revenge game? Maybe. I see you, Mariah. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to get to these super chats before I don't want to leave you hanging too much. Wait a second. Why are you reporting this right now? All right, sorry. Bleacher Report is reporting 49ers Trey Lance reveals he dealt with a broken finger injury during his rookie season. Appreciate you, Bleacher Report. Just a little late on that one. You scared me a second. I thought they were saying he re-broke his finger. I was like, oh, geez. Don't want to see that. Mariah, shout out Mariah, says paying forward some love to the community has shown me. I appreciate the grind and all the content you have provided us. Keep killing it, bro. You deserve the flowers. Hit that like and sub, faithful. Shout out Mariah. Make sure you throw her a sub as well. Appreciate that, Mariah. Appreciate all the SDS out here. You already know we're a vibe. And once this season kicks off, the community is going to go crazy. You already know. You already see the vibes. Man, we're ready. we're chopping at the bit for some football. So shout out Mariah again, 49ers content creator. Show her some love as well. Hit that sub button for her and spread the love, because we've talked about this before. There's so many content creators, but you can literally find whatever you're looking for. Like, again, and there's room for everyone. So again, the biggest thing is be yourself, right? Don't bite off anyone else. Be yourself. Have your own original takes. Do that type of things. And if you do that in yourself, people will gravitate you for that. And if you're not, well, sucks to be you. But anyways, we got a lot of original content creators out here that do great work. Mariah's one of them. We had a couple other guys in here too. You'd love to see it. Love to see it. Let's get to Justin. I told you I'd get to your super chat. Justin says, "What's up, Brad? What are your thoughts on former Sooner and Bill O-lineman Cody Ford traded to the Cardinals to reunite with Kyler Murray for a 5th-round pick? Why are the 49ers not making moves like this?" Well, I can't speak to why that the 49ers aren't making moves like this. I don't know. It's a good question. But this is now the second former Sooner that the Arizona Cardinals have traded for. It's a pair with Kyler Murray. The first one was Hollywood Brown. That was traded from the Ravens to the Cardinals. And now you get Cody Ford now reuniting with Kyler Murray. 49er fans concerned about the interior offensive line, want to see the 49ers make a trade. We'll see what happens. I think it is. We do also. I keep having to remind myself that we do have Daniel Brunskill on the roster. Say what you want about him. He started the last 2 years in a row and has a lot of starting experience. So if there's ever any issues that pop up, they do have a guy on the roster that has a lot of starting experience. But he's dealing with the hamstring, so we'll continue to see what happens with that. The 49ers could be making some moves here. Again, we look at the entire roster. So on this particular show, we're going to be predicting the roster cut down from 85 to 80. So the deadline is tomorrow. We're going to see a lot of roster moves being made across the league. We're already seeing, like we just heard news, that the Raiders are going to be cutting Kenyon Drake, who's, former Arizona Cardinal, had some success in this league, but hey, he's not fitting in with the new regime. So he's going to get released, per reports from Tom Pelissero. 49ers, there is talent. There is talent. To be able to trade someone. Like there are more than 53 players on this roster that are deserving of being on the active roster. So the 49ers could be making a move, but the moves that I think we would be making is actually sending guys out in exchange for picks. I don't know if they'll be trading for additional players, but it could happen. But it's a wait and see. I do think the 49ers could be active in the trade market, but I also see it in a sense of they're sending guys out because they just have so much talent on the roster at this point. So we'll see how it continues to progress and all that good stuff. But let's get into the roster prediction, shall we? Let's get into the main reason why we are here, other than to see this glorious ginger beard. Let's talk a little bit about my predictions for the first wave of roster cuts. So, like I mentioned just a second ago, the 49ers will be trimming the roster from 85 to 80 tomorrow. The deadline is tomorrow, so we will be getting news that there will be roster cuts happening. So, as I mentioned, Austin Mack was on the list. But I wrote down an honorable mention. So the honorable mention gets bumped up into Austin Mack's place because, again, Austin Mack was released to accommodate the Tashawn Gibson signing. All right, let's get into it. So the first cut that I am predicting, again, I don't love this part of the content year. I'll start by saying that. If it were up to me, I would have 30 practice squad spots. The roster would be 60 plus, and we would have a huge focus on developing talent, not just cutting them and sending them on their way. Because let's face it, training camp is not a place to develop. Training camp is to show that you're ready to go, and that's it. Training camp is not a place to develop. You don't have time to develop. You don't have the reps to develop. So if you're a up and coming guy and you're struggling to grasp the playbook, if you're struggling to grasp your footing, good luck, because it's going to be hard to hold down a roster spot. The first guy that I got being cut on the list is going to be Jeremiah Gemmell, linebacker, out undrafted free agent out of North Carolina. I don't think he's been particularly bad, but I also don't think he's been particularly good. There's again, I had a hard time just going from 80 to 85 to 80. You're going to see me stressed out talking about who's going to get cut when we do our predictions for the final 53. Like, you're going to see me stressing out because I'm going to be cutting guys that I don't want to cut. And it's a numbers game. So you just got to do what you got to do. Jeremiah Gemmell's the first on my list to get the axe. Again, you have guys like Marcelino McCrary Ball ahead of him. I think you have the addition of Oren Burks and DFF already that are clearly far and away ahead of him. And I even think Segun Alubi is playing ahead of Jeremiah Gemmell right now. So, we got to tip our caps to Jeremiah Gemmell for our projection, and we'll see if he makes it through to the next round. But it does feel like Jeremiah Gemmell, regardless, is going to be on the outside looking in. Could be a practice squad candidate. We'll see. I think there's a couple linebackers ahead of him. Like I mentioned, I don't know if Marcelino McCrary Ball is making the cut. I don't know if Segun Alubi is going to make the cut, but I could see those guys coming around to the practice squad. But for now, those two linebackers are safe. Jeremiah takes the first hit. This one was actually a little bit difficult because obviously there's a lot of offensive linemen, and not all these offensive linemen are going to make the list. And I liked this guy when the 49ers had to use him in 2019. He had multiple spot starts and was able to fill in really nicely as a rookie. But after suffering an injury, just feels like he's had a really tough go getting his footing under him. And it did appear that Sam Schluter, the undrafted free agent out of Minnesota, got the start ahead of him. So, unfortunately, I am having to put Justin School on the block. He is number 2 that I'm anticipating getting released again. School has shown promise. But I think he's just having a hard time returning from the ACL injury that he suffered from last year's OTAs. Really struggled in training camp. He struggled in joint practices, and I think he continued to struggle in both the preseason games. I would have hoped for a little bit better fortune from Justin School on his return, but maybe a spot on the practice squad would do him well, just to kind of rebuild his confidence. And get back. We know he's started before. We know he's had that opportunity and he's done well in it, but obviously returning from an injury is a little bit of different circumstances. So right now, I don't have Justin School. Again, the fact that Sam Schluter, undrafted free agent, who in his own right hasn't been a world beater, kind of got the start ahead of him. doesn't feel like a vote of confidence from the 49ers or the staff, and it already feels like Jordan Mills has jumped up in front of Justin School, who was added late in training camp. So right now, I got Justin School potentially getting released, and maybe gives him an opportunity to latch on with another team. So we'll see. So I had Austin Mack next, but Austin Mack was already waived today, as we discussed. So I'll talk about my honorable mention at the end. The next guy that I have getting released or cut is Willie Snead. I just don't see anything from Willie Snead that makes me feel like he needs to be on the roster. I think Willie Snead has proven in the past with other teams that he's done a pretty good job and showed that he can be definitely an NFL wide receiver. But I don't see him making the active roster. So if he's not going to make the active roster, just let him go. Potentially latch on, sign on with a different team. So I just haven't seen enough from Willie Snead for me to be able to be like, oh, we got to have him at least from 80 to the 53 man. So I figured we can let Willie Snead walk. We'll see what the 49ers ultimately decide. But again, Willie Snead was a late add in training camp as well. But I don't think he's shown or done anything. Even going back to joint practices, I don't see it. I don't see it. So I would be sending Willie Snead out the door. So that's three. My fourth, I think I would probably let go of Troy Fumagalli. When I look at the 49ers tight ends right now, I see a lot of guys that look the same. It looks like just a bunch of guys that are almost built identically, whether it's kind of like Dwelly, Croft, um, what's his name? Tanner Hudson, Charlie Warner, they're all kind of built the same. Troy Fumagalli, really, I think Tyler Croft is one of the guys that have rose to the top. Tanner Hudson has kind of rose to the top. We already know Charlie Warner has a good shot to make the roster. Dwelly has a good shot to make the roster. So I kind of have Troy Fumagalli getting cut right here for the first cut down from 85 to 80. My honorable mention, I'm not going to lie, my honorable mention hurts a little bit. The honorable mention hurts a little bit because I like him. But just based on usage, based on the way I'm reading how the coaching staff is going to be using him and things like that, doesn't feel like Tate Martin is going to make the roster. I do hope and believe that Tate Martin gets an opportunity on the practice squad. I really do think he could be one of these like Kendrick Bournes, kind of the undrafted free agents. Maybe going to have to start on the practice squad because we already know the 49ers wide receiver room is pretty stacked right now. So I think that Tate Martin, just based on the lack of opportunities that he's been given, it kind of tells me that they don't see him truly competing for that sixth wide receiver spot. He was someone that I thought could, but you got to look at the usage. He is not given the usage, which I kind of look at. So if he's not being used, then practice squad. I would like to have him on the practice squad though. He seems like a guy that could develop into someone. So I like him on the practice squad. And that's kind of how I have it. Again, this is light work, right? Like going from 85 to 80, like really it was a little stressful, but if we were looking at Jeremiah Gemmell, Justin School, Willie Snead, Troy Fumagalli, and Tate Martin as guys being cut to go from 85 to 80, I don't think anyone's losing any sleep off of that. The episode that's really going to matter is going to be our projection from 80 to 53. The 80 to 53 is going to be nuts because you're already seeing it right now. You're already seeing it with Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is clearly and quickly becoming someone that fans are rallying around, um, and really looking forward to seeing Jordan Mason. Uh, and with Jordan Mason, we've been talking about it since day one. Thanks to Justin in the chat. Justin is the one who put me on to Jordan Mason. Justin's the reason I had to actually pay attention to this guy, and as a result, uh, as a result, we're seeing it happen. We're seeing it happen in front of our eyes. Jordan Mason really looks like a great back. The next undrafted steal that Kyle Shanahan has been able to find. Um, and we got to tip our hats to Justin in the chat, uh, because this guy right here, he was begging me to look at Jordan Mason, telling me that Jordan Mason was that guy. And he's right. He's 100% right. So you could see it in training camp. You could see it at joint practice. You could see it in preseason. Jordan Mason really is a good running back. And he is pushing guys like Trey Sermon, who's a third round draft pick, who the 49ers gave up draft capital to move up and get. And Jordan Mason could force a Trey Sermon cut. So I talked about this yesterday. I've talked about, my underwhelming thoughts of Trey Sermon to this point. I've talked about Jordan Mason is already pushing him. Matt Mayoko today put out an article basically saying the exact same things. Trey Sermon is not safe. Trey Sermon is in a battle for a roster spot, and guys like Jordan Mason, JaMycal Hasty are making it very difficult. So Jordan Mason, right now, he's probably going to be a guy that's going to end up on that final roster that I put out. The question becomes who gets left off as a result. If I was a general manager, I would not feel comfortable leaving Jordan Mason to get picked up by someone else. Let's see. Jordan Schultz just sent me a bunch of tweets. What is he saying? So Jordan Schultz, the reporter, I'll just pull him up. Why not? I'll pull him up. So Jordan just sent me these. Let me see what he's talking about. We'll look at it together. He's dropping some reports about the 49ers. So let me get these up and we'll talk about it. Jordan Schultz. All right. So these are regarding the 49ers. Apparently, Jordan is speaking with someone. Corey says, I pray Mason and Poe make this roster. I hope where a player is drafted isn't a priority over what's on tape, i.e. Sermon and Bakes. Mason and Poe are better. Oh, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I also it would be crazy to see the 49ers release their second and third round pick from last year. That would be a big time admission that they missed very badly. But we'll see. Let me double check here. All right. So this is what Jordan's Schultz just sent me. He's saying the 49ers love rookie right guard Spencer Burford out of UTSA. It's like he's already a 5-year pro. We've said that a lot. one team source says. He's very sound, very smart, and very long. He ran outside zone in college, plug and play guy. Maybe the best part, Trey Lance has total trust in him. So that's from Jordan Schultz of the Schultz Report. He goes on to tweet out that 49ers are high on rookie wide receiver Danny Gray, true vertical threat, 4.33 speed, the perfect guy next to Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Jawan Jennings. Team source tells me his speed is lethal for us, just the threat alone, but he can go get it now too. He's also been receptive to coaching. So, hey, Jordan Schultz is a guy who's pretty plugged in. So those are good things to hear. And I think we're all in agreement with what is being said based on our own eyes. You can see not only is Danny Gray's speed lethal, but they have a quarterback who's going to throw him the ball and has the opportunity to get him the ball deep down the field. Again, that's one of the biggest differences going from Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo is the 49ers now have a quarterback who has to be a threat deep. Jimmy Garoppolo, unfortunately, just wasn't a threat deep. He just wasn't. And literal defensive coordinators would dare him to throw deep, and he wouldn't. They would give him gift wrapped one-on-one coverage to the outside, would not throw it. Now you have a guy like Danny Gray, who one can legitimately stretch a defense, force safeties to play the deep third, deep half of the field. And guess what? That's going to open up things on the underneath. And then if you get them in that conflict of, well, if you put Gray, Ayuk, hell, even Deebo in single coverage, we're just going to go over the top of you. And then they're going to have to, okay, we're going to run too high and we're going to stop that from happening. But then you start working everything underneath. Then you get defenses in conflict, and then you just start taking advantage. So love that. I agree with everything. Spencer Burford, same thing. I was talking about how after, just watching the Packers game, I'm like, the 49ers have their starting guard for the next 10 years. Like, it's abundantly clear to see. And I'm not afraid to either say that Spencer Burford is already better than Aaron Banks. And you can tell Spencer Burford's still kind of learning more of the smaller nuances of the position based on like the playbook and those types of things. But from a pure like athletic standpoint, movement skills, strength, even technically, Spencer Burford is already better than Aaron Banks. So yeah, 49ers absolutely did a phenomenal job with that draft pick. It was a pick that I kind of questioned because he was a left tackle. I didn't see him as a true left tackle. I didn't see him as a tackle prospect. I was kind of confused by the pick because I thought it was going to be Mike McGlinchey's like eventual replacement. But I didn't see him as like a tackle. I was like, he could become a tackle, but I was like, I see a guy who's a guard. We talked about that on our live streams right as he was picked on the draft. Didn't love it necessarily because I didn't see the fit as a tackle. I think his best fit is as a guard. Can he play tackle? Potentially. Potentially. But I like his fit at guard the best. I really, really do. So the 49ers have done a really good job. They have done a really good job at drafting this class. Obviously, last year's class is already in question. If Trey Sermon doesn't make it, we're going to see. Corey says, would you say Poe is better than Banks? I wouldn't say he's better than Banks. I think Poe is probably a better puller. I think One of Poe's best attributes is his ability to pull and get in space and block, kick out, uh, roll blocks, do those types of things. I think Poe's really good on the move. Really good on the move. I think Poe has shown that he can be an NFL offensive lineman. That was the first step for Poe for me personally. When the pads come on, how is he going to do against NFL defensive tackles? And he holds up. He does a pretty good job. Is he better than Banks? I don't know if I'm ready to say he's better than Banks. He could be better than Banks one day. I still think, I think Banks had a really good day against the Packers, and I think he definitely took a step back against the Vikings. He didn't do terrible, but he didn't do great either. There were plays that he was successful and did a good job, and then there were plays where you're like, "Oof, that's tough." Whether it's in pass protection, he got kind of steamrolled on a pull, but he had another pull where he did a good job. So it's the consistency gap. I think Banks, for the most part, has improved. Again, I think it was a little step back from Packers to Vikings. So we'll see how he rebounds against the Texans. So that's what I'll be looking for. Especially with, I would assume a lot of the starters also might be playing on the Texans side. Sounds like the 49ers are going to be playing a lot of their starters as well. So I don't mind it. I think Banks has improved quite a bit, at least from what I saw last year. And we'll continue to give him those opportunities to improve. I don't know if I'm ready to say Poe is better than Banks yet, but Poe could be better than Banks eventually. He's just, I made the analogy before. Poe's a doorstop. He might be this big, but doesn't matter how big that door is, he is stopping it. He has great leverage. He has a great ability to anchor. He has great strength, great foot quickness, really good speed. So I like Poe a lot. It's gonna be one of those ones. Like, is he gonna be a guy that makes a roster? Or are they gonna really, really hope that they could get him on the practice squad? He's made it tough. He's elevated. He's went from third string to second string, and I don't know. I don't know how they feel. I know Trent likes Poe. If Trent likes Poe, that's a good sign. Trent has taken Poe under his wing along with Burford. So if Trent is showing an interest, yeah, not bad. Corey says, I think Poe anchors better. I agree with that. That's a correct statement. That's why we call him the doorstop. Very good at anchoring. It's probably one of his best attributes because he has already won the leverage game and he's got the strength behind it. So I agree with that statement. And I think that's one thing that Aaron Banks needs to work on. He needs to work on his ability to anchor. But you could also say that same thing about Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford's not perfect. But that's the thing, dude. Like, I'm looking at Spencer Burford and Aaron Banks like this is their baseline, and they should be getting better, both of them. And based on Banks' baseline ability right now, and you could say he struggles a little bit with anchoring. Once he figures it out, once he figures out to drop those hips and like bend, be able to bow that back a little bit, no pause, like he's going to be. Poe's already made us forget about, has made me forget about Laken Tomlinson. Even though he's playing at the right guard position, I can already project that Spencer Burford is going to be a better guard than what Laken Tomlinson was. And hey, Laken Tomlinson was a Pro Bowler last year. So we are potentially looking at a multiple time Pro Bowler in Spencer Burford on the next 3, 4, 5 years coming down the line when he starts hitting his peak. So I like Burford a lot. I like Poe a lot too. Uh, Corey says, I think he will hold up better against Donald and other better low man and others better low man wins. He gets low and anchors. You're right. He does. He definitely does. Poe is Poe is pretty dang good. I've been really impressed by Poe. But that's the thing. I want to see Poe at center. That's the one thing that's kind of got me a little confused. Like I want to see Poe at center. Like that's where I want to see Poe. You can especially get away with more smaller centers or like just smaller players at center. Again, same concept, leverage, and if they have the strength and ability to anchor, there's less time for the defensive tackle to like really develop this crazy pass rush move. Um, I would love to see Poe at center. I really don't know why we haven't seen that yet. I don't know. I don't know why we haven't seen Poe at center. Like I based on what I've seen, like, maybe he could have been a part of that competition. Like he looks pretty damn good. Why isn't Poe getting a crack? Tony says I'm super worried about speaking of center. Might Zakel be the long-term answer? I think Zakel needs some work. Um, Definitely, I think we'll have a better opportunity to evaluate Nick Zakel next training camp. I have to remind myself too when evaluating rookies, it's like their first year is going to be a whirlwind. Whether it's picking up the playbook, trying to like go from college to the NFL, and the practice rules and everything in between. Again, I think the 49ers had 5 padded practices before their first preseason game. I would like to reiterate that. And you guys already know, I don't watch the O-line really when they're not padded because it's not truly representative of what an offensive lineman can or cannot do. Because you need pads. You need to be able to drop your shoulder into people. You need to grab, you need to do all kinds of stuff. And you need pads to be able to do that. So if you're an offensive lineman and you're only getting 5 padded practices before your first preseason game, like that's a tough ask, man. Like that's a tough ask to be ready for the NFL coming from Fordham. Like your 6th-round pick out of Fordham, you get 5 padded practices as an offensive lineman. Good luck, kid. Like it's not a place to develop. That's why when I look at Nick Zakel, I'm going to look at him next year. I don't think Nick Zakel. I think he shows glimpses, but again, I think it's a whirlwind. Like there's a lot going on. So for Nick Zakel, we'll have a better, I think, answer on him next year. Um, you can kind of tell like it's hard, man. It's hard, and they're going up against some of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. So it's hard to get your footing, especially like a guy coming out of Fordham, transitioning from like left tackle now playing interior. It's a whole different. You're changing positions. You're in the NFL. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I tried to look at these offensive linemen with a little bit more nuance, a little bit more patience, and we'll see. But again, Spencer Burford answered the bell right away. So that's very promising. So to me, I see Spencer Burford as a guy who has Pro Bowl potential. The fact that he's stepping in day one and has done what he has done already, you still see little miscues. You still see little issues here or there, but that will get cleaned up with time and reps. We're looking at a potential Pro Bowler in Spencer Burford. So that is really a phenomenal thing to have at this stage in the game. And shout out to all the homies for the super chat. Really do appreciate you guys. Let's see. I think I saw another question. And if you guys do have questions, feel free to drop them in. I'll kind of open it up to the chat to look at some more questions that you have answered or want answered. Let's see. Saw this one. What's my take on Jordan Mills? I think Jordan Mills is okay. I think you can tell that he has started in this league. I don't, he did okay against the Vikings. He didn't do all that great. He had some good plays. I think he gave up one particular sack that I would have called a coverage sack. Uh, but shout out my guy. My guy made the killer intro at the beginning. Appreciate you, man. Give this guy a follow at JTH Visuals. Shout out JTH, my guy. Appreciate you. But kind of back to Jordan Mills, I think he's proven to be a little bit better than Justin School already, better than Sam Schluter and guys like that. But I don't know if he's absolutely going to make the roster. We'll see. We will see. This is going to be I'm going to have to probably do this one last. Like when we do our full roster projection, our 53-man roster projection, I'm going to be sweating. I'm going to be stressing. You guys are going to yell at me because I'm probably going to cut some of your favorite players. It is going to be tough, man. I was already stressing about going from 85 to 80. Now I got to go 80 to 55, and I got to project out what the 49ers try to put myself in their shoes and be like, how are they going to make these decisions? And this is going to be one of them. I got to decide if I can find a spot where I can keep 5 running backs, or you go with the standard of 4. This is going to be one of the questions and one of the big things that I got going for me, because who's going to be projected out to be that running back? What's that running back room going to look like? We talked about it literally all year. There's so many. All 6 are worthy. All 6 running backs are worthy of making the roster. The question becomes, who actually makes it? Who actually makes it? It's going to be a tough one. Let's see. What's the starting O-line? I think it's going to be Trent, Banks, Brendel, Burford, McGlinchey. What do I think about Jordan Mason? I think very highly of Jordan Mason. I firmly believe Jordan Mason is on the can't cut list. And that's what's going to make this roster projection really hard. Jordan Mason's already on the can't cut list for me. Don't cut him. Do not risk it. Like I've talked about it a million times. The second Jordan Mason gets cut, 49ers might as well book his ticket to Seattle. They might as well book his ticket to Seattle. Like, you want to do that? That's what's going down. That's if they cut Jordan Mason, might as well book him a one-way ticket up north. Because Seattle is salivating over our roster right now. Oh, boy. Especially if they get Jimmy. 49ers cut Jimmy. They bring Jimmy up there. Jimmy gives them all the inside scoop on, you should get this player, you should get that player, you should get this player. Guarantee you, Jimmy goes up north, he's bringing like 6-7 of these 49ers with him, because he'll be able to say, get these guys. Oh, they're going to try to stash them on the practice squad. Nope. Come on up north. We got Levi's South. We're going to have Levi's North here pretty soon. So if you cut Jordan Mason, then you better be purchasing that ticket for him to go one way up north. And then he'll make us cry 2 times a year for the next 5 years. So we don't want that. And so as a result, I'm not cutting Jordan Mason. I'm not doing it. You can't be me. I'm not going to be the one. This is funny. This is funny because I've thought about this. Like, I feel like we all understand that. I believe, we've talked about this. I believe that Jimmy's going to get cut and he's going to go up north. That's what I think the outcome is. And like, theoretically, like, Jimmy and his representatives, they could have a handshake deal that, hey, when we get released, this is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. Give me the playbook now so that, you can sign something like a non disclosure or something like that. That, like, okay, we'll give you this playbook that ensuring that you're not going to disclose any of the information. Could happen. It could happen. And I thought about this the other day. I was like, Jimmy could be sitting there with the playbook right now, like learning whichever team he's going to go to and wants to go to once he's granted his release. If he has a playbook now, then he steps in day one ready to go. And there, there's like, if I was in Jimmy's camp, like, let's say I am in Jimmy's camp. This is a good point. let's get him for tampering. That's probably a good point. But I would be trying to figure out a way, like, how do we make this transition to wherever Jimmy's going as seamless as possible? 100%. So we'll see. And make sure you guys already know, smash that like button if you haven't already. We got over 355 people in here. You love to see it. Shout out all the Sourdough Squad. Appreciate you guys tapping in with me. It's going to be a fun year, man. Excited to get all the vibes going. Looking forward to it. Justin says, Brad, do we see Mason as a pass catcher Thursday? I think it's time. I think one of the reasons why we haven't seen Jordan Mason as a pass catcher is because somewhere deep down, I think Kyle really thought he could sneak Jordan Mason onto the practice squad. I really do think somewhere deep down, like, Kyle really believed that he could sneak Jordan Mason onto the practice squad. No, I'm sorry, pal. It's not happening. So just get him the work. Show the rest of the 49er faithful because if you haven't been at training camp, you haven't seen that Jordan Mason's a really good pass catcher, like a natural pass catcher, route runner out of the backfield, like probably one of the best on the roster. Like, that's including Elijah Mitchell and Jeff Wilson and JaMychal Hasty. Like, I could make the argument that Jordan Mason is the best pass catching running back on the 49ers. And you guys haven't even seen it yet. So, Kyle, make it easier for the fan base to rally around Jordan Mason and get him some catches out of the backfield and show the rest of the world what we already know. Just do it. Get him a choice route out of the backfield. Give him a good old Texas out of the backfield. Give him one of those nice little Texas route. Hey, they're going to Texas. Perfect time to get Jordan Mason a Texas route, huh? Why not? Do it. Do it. This is a good question. Can Mason block? I think he can block. I'm not going to pretend like so when they would run pass blocking drills, like one-on-ones, running backs versus linebackers, I admittedly wasn't watching those. I was watching offensive line versus D-line one-on-ones, and it's really hard to get a super good grasp on that, I think, in team drills. So I'm going to leave that as TBD. I'm going to leave it as TBD for right now, because I just don't have a definitive answer. I don't want to lie to you and say that, oh yeah, he's really good at pass. I don't know. I didn't watch enough or pay attention enough during training camp to know, and I didn't see anything that popped out. I didn't see, it's just one of those things, like, I didn't really pay attention to Jordan Mason's pass blocking particularly. But I think he can. And based on everything that I've seen from Jordan Mason, seems like he could. He's a big back. He's a big back. So 5'11", 225, he's built to be able to take on some of these guys. So theoretically, I think he could be a good pass blocker, but to be bluntly honest, I don't know. I didn't get a good enough look. um, with him. Uh, I mean, I would say that I've been in the passenger seat of the Jordan Mason hype train. Uh, I again, I just have to credit I gotta credit Justin. Like, he was day one. Sent the like, when they signed him, he instantly hopped into his tape and was like, "Dude, look at this." I looked at it and I was like, "All right, you might be onto something." But yeah, I've been riding shotgun on the Jordan Mason hype train. Justin's been driving it. The dude's got a Jordan Mason jersey already, and he bought that before training camp, I think. Um, so I won't say I've been the driver. I've been in the shotgun. I'll give the credit to Justin. Literally, like, if you want to credit anyone about Jordan Mason, you have to credit Justin. Like, before anyone. Like I said, I've been in the shotgun. I've been riding shotgun in the Jordan Mason hype train, but I'm gonna give the driver's seat to Justin because he was on it from day one. That dude's got the damn dirt, got the damn jersey. Like, come on, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Harris says 348 people watching, 86 likes. SDS, let's get to 200 likes. I mean, it can be done. The SDS could get this video up to 200 likes in a heartbeat if we got over 350 people watching right now. Let's see if it can be done. Let's see if it can be done. Jordan Mason is a dog, 100%. Jordan Mason is a dog, and you don't want to lose that dog. Please don't let that dog go. Don't send him to the pound. Please, please keep him around. Please, 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 please keep him around. For sure, for sure. Please keep him around. But kind of talking about yesterday's, not yesterday's game, but the game against the Vikings. Bro, the defensive line looks really good. Javon Kinlaw, Charles Omenihu, Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson looks really good. Drake Jackson looks really good. Like, and in the, not like that he's a complete product, but you guys know I'm big into development. He's like a prime. He's a prime developmental prospect. Like, just raw traits, raw skill set, raw intangibles. Like, Drake Jackson. Like, the length that he has, the speed, the bend, the burst, the kind of baseline moves that he already has. If you get him more polish and things like that, like, whoo, he's good. He's good in space. Like, he's good, and he's young, which makes me happy. When you can find me young players that are good, that means they can get better. So I look at Drake Jackson right now, and I think you guys do as well. And we look at Drake and we're like, damn, this guy's dope. But the best part is he's going to get way better. That's the best part about rookies, is that we look at them now and we're like, hey, they're dope. But all things considered and all things go well with the development, they're going to get better. And those are the things that get me excited about football. I love seeing that. Absolutely love seeing that. Gammon Brown, appreciate the super chat, Gammon. He says Jordan Mason can block. He played behind a non-existent offensive line in college, plenty of snaps to establish himself as a top-tier pass blocking running back. There you go. There you go. So Jordan Mason is that guy. Like, we're confident in saying that. Justin knows. Hey, I needed Justin to tell me. Again, we call Justin the head sourdough scout for a reason. He came in with the hot fire Jordan Mason. I just listened. That was it. And sure enough, you saw it on tape. You saw it in training camp. What we came on these lives, almost our training camp reports, and we're just like, guess who's the most consistent running back out there? Jordan Mason. We said it for a long time. Corey, appreciate the super chat. Says, how about Trent Banks, Poe, Burford, McGlinchey? I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind. Corey says, start the Poe learning center position campaign. He knows center, right? Like he knows center. He was a center at Mercer. So he has baseline understanding of the position already. It's not like he has to learn how to snap. He is. I bet if you asked him, he'd probably call himself a center. So I think Jason Poe could walk in and play center. Maybe they know that. I don't know. But I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind seeing it for sure. 100%. How many times has Brad said Jordan Mason today? I don't know. We should start a Jordan Mason counter. That should be one of the new additions to the show. Every time I say Jordan Mason, we have like a ticker that like picks up how many we have. What's good, Fabian? Hey, I appreciate that, SG Sports Talk. Appreciate that. We wanna uplift and shout out the positivity on this channel. So I appreciate all the kind words. I really do. Not everyone's gonna love it. And that's fine. That's fine, but we do want to uplift the positivity. Does Donovan West make the team? I think Donovan West is already better than Keaton Sutherland. I already think Donovan West is better than Keaton Sutherland, but I don't know. I don't think he makes the active. I think he makes the practice squad. So that's kind of how I see it. Again, I think they're only going to keep 8 offensive linemen. That does not leave a lot of room, and I think Brunskill is going to be the backup center as of right now. So that doesn't leave room for Donovan West. But I do think they just cut Keaton Sutherland. I don't think Keaton Sutherland's that good. Kiefer, Keaton, whatever. I knew I was gonna get that mixed up. The guy from 24 is out here playing center for the 49ers. You know what I meant. Jordan Mason, ticker 27, make it 28. Make it 28 now. Love it. We're putting respect on his name. We are putting respect on his name. Let's see. Jorge says, Brad, tweet Shanahan about Poe for center. We could start that campaign. Ooh, I like this one. Justin says, call him Stone Mason. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that because he's gonna go to work. I like that. The Stone Mason. The Mason. Oh my gosh. Hey, everyone, show Justin some love. He says, can't believe Brad shout. Oh, I shout you out every day of the week. He said he's had a rough one today, but we sending all the good vibes to you, my guy. Again, we share our stuff. You don't have to get into detail, but sending good vibes your way, Justin. Be happy at least that you are the king of the Jordan Mason hive, and the hive is buzzing right now. Like literally, the Jordan Mason hive is buzzing, and you are at the center of it. So hopefully, what are we at? Like we're probably at like 40 Jordan Mason counters now. We're getting up there. But absolutely appreciate you, man. Let's see. What are we at? What did we ever get our likes up at all? Oh, we did. Damn. We're already almost at 150. Woo. Shout out to SDS. We were like at 80 last time. Shout out to SDS. Already got us damn near to 150. 200 in the future? 200 likes, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Shout out Cynthia. What's good, Cap? I'm right here too. No more hiding. No more hiding. Put him with the ones. Because Justin said so. Do it. Put him with the ones. Let's see it. Really like it. I did. I mentioned that that we signed to Sean Gibson. Definitely kind of like an in the box safety. A thumper. He does have ball skills. Definitely older, but knowledgeable, I guess. So we'll see. We will see. So this Jag says with Poe playing left guard and right guard, will he make the roster? That's the thing. I think we know who the first we know who the first 7 are, right? I think we can all kind of conceptualize who the first 7 are. It's going to be Trent, Banks, Brendel, Burford, McGlinchey, McKivitz, Brunskill. That's 7 right there. So if Poe's going to make it, that means he has to edge out Jalen Moore. And I don't think Jalen Moore has been anything to write home about. I think Jalen Moore showed promise early, but has really fallen off as of late and is now dealing with injuries. So it becomes a decision by the 49ers. If you cut a 5th round pick in Jalen Moore, do you think you can keep him on the practice squad, or do you think someone's going to pick up Jalen Moore more so than cutting an undrafted 6'1" offensive lineman out of Mercer? Which one's it going to be? I would imagine that the 49ers would think they would have a better chance at keeping Poe on the practice squad, but you never know. You never know. So that's going to be another tough decision that the 49ers have to make. Are they going to cut Jalen Moore to keep Poe? Going to be interesting. I have to have Ashton Kutcher on the pod. They sound very similar talking. That would be wild. Hey, let's go. Shout out Scott. Scott says, "What's up, Brad? I've been with you since preseason of last year. You're my guy for all 49ers. Keep it up, bro." Appreciate you, Scott. Shout out Scott. Love to see it. Let's see. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Let's get last couple questions in if you got them. Last couple questions if you got them. Tomorrow's Tuesday. 49ers play on Thursday. Last year's draft class, trash. It's honestly not turning out to look all that great. It's real, right? If Ambry Thomas is buried on the depth chart, Trey Sermon is at a risk of losing his job. Jalen Moore having a hard time. We'll see. We'll see. He says, except Lance, though. Watch party this year? Maybe. I don't know. Harris says 166 likes. Let's get to 200. Oh, we got 200. We got 40 people who haven't smashed that like button. They could do it. They could do it. Let's see. Is Lance better than Jimmy G? Depends on what the criteria is. But I think overall Lance will be better than Jimmy. I don't think that's too much of a stretch. at this point. I do think Jimmy has some traits that are better than Trey's at the moment, but I think overall, uh, we'll be talking about Lance in I think a much higher regard than Jimmy G when it's all said and done. Jason says Jordan Mason, practice squad or making the roster. Don't cut Jordan Mason. Don't do it. What's my take on Ross Dwelly? My take on Ross Dwelly is I think he is in a roster battle, and he could be on the outside looking in when it's all said and done. I liked Ross Dwelly. I thought Ross Dwelly had gotten better throughout his career, starting in 2019, and I think going into 2021. I thought Ross Dwelly was really going to take a step forward. Ross Dwelly took a big step back, specifically in his blocking ability. And if Ross Dwelly can't block, then the 49ers have no use for tight ends that unfortunately can't block. Now, I think he's gotten, I'm assuming he's worked on that and really made that a point of emphasis. But I don't think Ross Dwelly's job's safe. I think that's why there's a million tight ends in camp right now. And I think Warner at this point is safer than Dwelly. So we'll see what happens. Corey Soto says, I feel bad watching School. He looks lost out there. He looks unconfident. That's kind of what and that's typically a symptom of, coming back from a severe injury. Like sometimes the mental is the thing that's lacking. Sometimes your body gets back, but your mind, you start to second guess, and the kind of insecurity of your injury can creep in and affect how you play. He just feels like he's unconfident out there, which sucks. But yeah, it's been tough for School. I was hoping for a big bounce back from School, but it definitely looks like he's playing, a step slow. Just feels unconfident at this point. Name the 5 players before you go. Got you. In case you missed it, came on late. The 5 players that I had cut were Jeremiah Gemmell, Justin School, Austin Mack, but Austin Mack was already let go, Willie Snead, Troy Fumagalli, and Tate Martin. Tate Martin slid into the spot with Austin Mack. Tate Martin was my honorable mention, but with Austin Mack already being released, I slid up Tate Martin. Those are the 5 guys that I had getting cut. One of them already got cut before we, literally as we were starting the show. I agree with this. Cynthia's on point with this. She says the comparison would be unfair at this point. Jimmy is an 8-year veteran. Yeah, it's really hard to compare an 8-year veteran to Trey. And the things that Jimmy would be good at are in part because he's an 8-year veteran. So I agree with that. Callie says, disagree. If Trey becomes a stud and if Mitchell is our RB1, the draft was a success. I mean, in a sense, right? But it could have been much more of a success if you hit on, say you drafted Azeez Ojulari instead of Banks, or you went a different route outside of Sermon, and Sermon isn't on your roster after the second year that you traded up to get him in the third. So those types of things, you definitely. Last year was a good class too. There's a lot of good players that you could have had in early, mid, or late rounds. And if you don't hit on those guys, you can hit on a couple, but if you missed on a good portion, and again, even had guys out there like Trayvon Moehrig, could have took Trayvon Moehrig at the safety spot. There's definitely, Quinn Miners, could have drafted Quinn Miners in the 3rd or the 4th. He's starting guard for Denver Broncos right now. So I hear what you're saying. But is Lenore a lock for the 53? I think he's done better. I think he's done better for sure. Caps back. If you spell Nick Bosa in Scrabble, you win forever. More Nick Bosa-isms. I love that one. That's hilarious. Is my Wi-Fi lacking right now? I apologize. I do see that it says 1 bar. So definitely could be on that McDonald's Wi-Fi. I don't know what that is about. Yeah, it does look like I'm on McDonald's Wi-Fi right now. So apologize. Apologize for that. Maybe it's a good time to get off the stream then if we're looking like McDonald's Wi-Fi. Smash that like button on your way out. I think we're really close to getting to 200. I think we're like 10 away from 200. So smash that like button since we're looking like McDonald's Wi-Fi right about now. Um, but appreciate everyone who joined the stream. We're going to have a lot more stuff to talk about as we continue to get into this season. Again, 49ers play the Texans on Thursday, so it's going to be a really quick turn. Tomorrow, let's look at some film. We'll look at some of the good. We'll look at some of the bad from the Vikings, just to highlight some players and some things. Why not? We always like watching some film. And then we're going to turn the page towards the Texans for the final preseason game before the Chicago Bears play week 1. And from everything that we've heard, it sounds like the starters will be out there against the Texans. Per Kyle Shanahan, he said that he wants most of the starters out there. So yes, I would imagine we're going to see Trey Lance. We're going to see. I think it's going to be the dress rehearsal. I think that's how they're using it. I think that's how they're going to be kind of using the Texans game. Obviously, very limited starters played against the Vikings. I think this game against the Texans, again, let the body rest a little bit after joint practices. Then they're going to gear up for the dress rehearsal. I don't know how much they're going to play. I really wouldn't mind only seeing the starters for like a quarter, if that. But again, dress rehearsal, and then week 1, September 11th, against the Bears at Soldier Field, bright and early at 10 in the morning. So hopefully we're not talking trap games, but we've already discussed, and we'll of course preview the Chicago Bears game in all its glory, the way it should be. But we'll see. TBD at this point. TBD. I will let you know. Stay tuned. I'm gonna have a pretty cool announcement coming up for some stuff that I'll also be doing this year outside the channel. So keep an eye and ear out for that. I'm pretty excited to share it with you. But not quite yet. Not quite yet. Soon, though. Soon. I think it's going to be a big year for the SDS. I think this is going to be a really fun year for our little community. And the way we kind of go about our 49ers news and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a good year. I think the mod squads are going to be full effect this year. We're going to get a lot of people into these chats once the games are going and all that good stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. What's good, James? I'm always late getting here. You're good, man. You're good. But looking forward to a big year. And we hit 200. Boom. Just like that. We hit 200 likes on the video. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys are the best. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I'm working on it. My guy wants the merch. I got you. I got you. I don't want you guys to be disappointed when we drop it. But I got you. So again, shout out all the SDS. We got a whole lot of fun stuff coming this year. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to all the good stuff. Mama's still asking me for SDS shirts. We're gonna get Mama those SDS shirts. Don't you worry. But yes, the SDS is taking over. You love to see it. We got some good stuff coming. Appreciate all the squad out here. It's gonna be a fun year. It's gonna be a fun year for our little community. And you already know, like we say, like yeast, we rise. So appreciate you guys. Remember, sub if you haven't. Hit that like button on your way out. Always smash that noti bell so you hit and see all the content first when we drop it. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back for with more content tomorrow. Until then, y'all stay yeasty. I'm outie.